My company is currently going through a round of layoffs. This is public information. But listen, anytime these types of things happen in the market, my heart goes out to the people who are impacted. And I want to find a way to add value to those people, help those people out of a difficult situation. And so that's why today's video is not going to be high production, the best quality, the best camera angle, but I wanted to get on here and make sure that I'm helping people as much as possible. And so I want to talk about this thought that I had, right? Which is when you find yourself in a layoff position, when you find yourself impacted by restructuring, the unfortunate reality is that a reactive approach is much less efficient than a proactive approach. What do I mean by that? So the thing that always comes to mind when I see the business engage in this type of restructuring is I wish I could go back 3 months and give people these three pieces of advice. And so I wanted to share that with all of you because number one, this advice is most effective 3 months in advance, but it is the same advice that's going to help you prepare for resilience as you move forward if you have been impacted. And so the first thing is to, number one, operate with the assumption that you can be laid off at any time. See, the reality of layoffs is that they are not performance related. They are related to business strategy and business finances. If a company is not performing well, they are likely to reduce costs somewhere in the business. And the number one cost that any business incurs is its people. It is its human resources, its human capital, if you will. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of layoffs and restructuring as we look at especially the tech industry, but really any industry that's trying to invest in AI as well. And that speaks to a business's need to stay up to date in the market and the industry that it operates in, and to stay ahead of trends that competitors are leveraging to drive market share. And that, of course, all relates to business strategy. But when you understand that businesses restructure and lay off because of financials, because of business strategy, you can also begin to understand that they're not laying specific people off because they're performing poorly in their role. No, most likely they are laying people off because that part of the business as a whole has been identified as a part of the business that they are going to reduce their investment in so that they can invest in other parts of the business. So once they target the business function or the business unit, you could imagine that it is more so a blind or random pick of the actual individuals within that business function who get impacted. I've seen SVPs get impacted. I've seen individual contributors get impacted. I've seen high performing and low performing people get impacted. So it's not about you personally, it's about the business performance and the business strategy. So knowing that, you have to operate with the assumption that anybody can be laid off, even if you're in a high growth area. Because even if you're in a high growth area of the business could still decide that they don't need to invest as much money in that part of the business as they currently are in order to drive the bottom line. So I'm not saying that you should live in fear. I'm not saying that you should be always stressed out about getting laid off, but you do have to operate to some degree on the potentiality and realize it may not be the probability, but the potential, which means if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. Be proactive. The second thing that if I could go back 3 months and tell people who are being impacted now to do, if I could, give them a piece of advice, it's make sure that the connections in your network are warm connections. So what do I mean by that? That simply means if you meet someone at a business conference, let's say for example, and you have a great initial connection point with that person, but then you don't talk to them for a month or 2 months. And then in a time of need, you reach out to that person and ask them for a favor. they're going to be so much less likely to help you out and help you with their whole heart and best effort in that situation, as opposed to if you had met them in that initial touch point, had a great kickoff of the relationship, but then kept in touch with them over the next few months, because that shows that you're nurturing the professional connection or relationship. It shows that you are investing in that person. And so when it comes time for you to need to withdraw value out of that investment, out of that relationship, then that person is so much more willing to help you. And so making sure that you are keeping up with your network, making sure that you are reaching out to people, keeping that connection warm is going to pay off in times of need. The third thing that I would tell professionals is, listen, at the base of work is paycheck, is our salary, our paycheck is the money that we get, right? You may love what you do, that's great. That's not the core reason that you're working. And if you were told today that from today on, you are never going to get paid for the work that you do at the company, would you show up 3 months from now still doing the same job with the same vigor? The answer is no, right? We all have to make our money. We all have to provide for ourselves. And so when work stops, income stops. If you have nothing to fall back on, you find yourself in panic mode. So establishing 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund is absolutely critical. This is the difference of you getting notified of your termination and having 3 to 6 months to go find another opportunity that aligns with your career journey, that offers you the compensation that you're looking for, and that makes sense in terms of where you want to go in the future, versus going out, not having an emergency fund, and looking for the next available job, even if it pays less, even if it's at Target or Walmart, because you're concerned about paying rent in the next 2 weeks. You have to build your emergency fund. Make sure that you are being intentional about your professional development. And you can really do this 3 ways. The first thing is be intentional about the work that you are completing in your job. You want to make sure that the work you're doing is adding real value to the business and that it demonstrates your ability to deliver real world outcomes. And this is important because any potential employer, whether you're switching jobs in the same company, switching companies, or changing industries, your potential employer wants to know, yes, you've been successful in this environment, but can you be successful on my team? And the more that you are able to demonstrate that you can drive significant accomplishments in different domains, the easier it's going to be for you to tell that story and convince the hiring manager that you can be successful no matter the business environment that you're placed in. So build your career for robustness in that sense. Build your career for impact, meaning ensure that you are doing truly valuable work. The second thing that you want to focus on when it comes to professional development is ensuring that you are picking up verifiable knowledge and business acumen along the way. What do I mean by that? So you can read a book and learn everything that you need to know. The problem with that is, yes, maybe you read the book, maybe you watched a few videos online, and you are truly competent in an area of expertise, but how can you prove that? And so that's why you want to seek verifiable skill acquisition, meaning instead of just reading the book, instead of just watching the videos, get certified through a credible certifying agency. Go to an institution of higher education and get a degree. Get something that demonstrates and that validates the skills and the knowledge that you have acquired. And that can also be by gaining a skill and then achieving something in the business that truly adds value, that leverages that skill. And that ties into the first point under the professional development bucket that we're talking about here. And then the third thing that you want to focus on when it comes to professional development is being able to effectively and in an engaging way tell the story of your career journey, both where you've been and where you are going. And this is important because anytime you go in front of a hiring manager, anytime you submit an application to a job opening, you are selling your value to that company, and you're hoping that that hiring manager and that company buy in by giving you a salary and a compensation package, which means you have to have your value proposition and your professional brand nailed down to a T. And so, as you go through your career and as you're gaining those accomplishments, as you're gaining certifications and degrees, make sure that you are able to tell a cohesive narrative of your career journey. Hey, I accomplished this and gained this certification, which demonstrates this skill, and this is how this skill is going to be valuable in your business context. You have to be able to sell your value, sell your knowledge and your skill set to that hiring manager. And so ensuring that your resume is always up to date, ensuring that you are creating a cover letter that truly humanizes you and tells the value of your career journey and your experiences and competencies is important. Building that professional brand with intention, making sure that it's wrapped around the axle of your core value proposition is important, and making sure that you are engineering your career so that you are always chasing after value add accomplishments is crucial. And so I'll wrap it up there. Whether you are currently facing a layoff situation or not, you want to always operate under the reality that a layoff or restructuring has the potential to impact your career. Whether you directly get laid off or whether you get restructured under a manager who doesn't see the value in the work that you do or that you just don't get along with, you could potentially be affected. And so you want to ensure that you are building the pathway to opportunity just in case. If you got value out of this video, please make sure that you hit the like button, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that you can be apprised of new content as it does drop weekly. Again, a career is a long journey to sojourn without a guide. So if you don't believe that you can do better, I'm here to make sure that you know better. Upskill professionals, helping you forge a path upward.